All right, everybody, what's up? Special, once again, matinee edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. My name is Keaton Weiss, here with Russell Dobular.
Hello.
All right, we have a really fun show in store for you guys this afternoon. We do want to start by announcing the not official launch of our TikTok channel, but for those subscribers, you may have noticed Russell's been posting a couple of short form videos on TikTok, and so we are on TikTok right now. We will be sort of posting to TikTok much more regularly, and so head on over and follow us on our TikTok channel, where you'll see Russell do his performance dance routines. What he does is, it's very cool what he does. He repurposes an N95 mask into a thong. So what he does is he straps the part that goes behind your ear around his waist. It's one of the N95, so it stretches that far. Then he wedges the mask part right between his ass cheeks there. And then, yeah, right, exactly. He paints on one cheek M.A., paints on the second cheek G.A., and then he gyrates back and forth for 3 minutes while doing his monologue. So it's really wonderful to see. I hope you all sign up and go check that out. We can't do that on YouTube without getting in trouble.
I call it the Fauci.
the Fauci dance. Exactly.
It's sweeping the nation. Do the Fauci.
That would be a way to
only
take
on
that
TikTok.
off.
It's my way of signaling my support and affinity for the Chinese Communist Party. That's why I went on TikTok. I felt it was the best way to support the last true communist nation.
Well, it was great. I mean, I liked how you made a point to thank them at the beginning of the videos. I mean,
because they've given us all this.
Right. I mean, most people are very ungrateful to the communists. You know, they say communism never produced anything. Well, what about TikTok?
What about TikTok? Exactly. And you know, a lot of people run around worrying that we're becoming an Orwellian society. Okay, well, they're giving us a Huxley society where people are endlessly amused into mindlessness. So we should thank them. I mean, it's better than the Orwell. At least you don't get nobody puts a big mask on your face with a rat at the end of a tube.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
right,
it's only fair.
I'll take TikTok over that.
It's only the right thing to do. American Wasp with Dieter McBusiness says you did a year subscription for us on Patreon or Substack, whichever. Yes, I remember we just did get an annual Substack subscription signed up, and so I want to thank you. I didn't know that was you. The thing about Substack is we can only really tell by the email address, so I wasn't sure if it was you, but I had a feeling it might have been. Since you sort of inquired about that on our last stream. So thank you very much for signing up at Substack as a paid subscriber.
You've been holding it on me, you motherfucker!
Paid Substack subscribers and Patreon members have call-in access to this show. You can go to patreon.com/DoDissidents or DoDissidents.substack.com to sign up. And we thank everybody who has done that so far and hope we can get some more members in here. Welcome everybody to the stream. So we do have a program lined up for you. However, some news did break just before we went online that we did not have a chance to prep. I mean, this broke literally 20 minutes ago, and that is that Joe Biden is planning to, by executive order, pardon marijuana possession offenders of federal offenses. Russell, you saw this come across the wire, so go ahead.
Yeah, the reason I knew is because I'm holding stock in Tilray. That is not to be construed as financial advice for legal purposes. And it popped 25%. I was like, oh, so what happened with marijuana? And that's the good thing about keeping up with business news. Degenerate gamblers really need to be accurate. I actually trust financial news more than any other kind of news when you're just when you're not talking about op-ed or opinions about economic policy. We're just talking about straight factual reporting. They're the best because they would rather be right than ideological. Because they're trying to make
they have money on the line.
Exactly. They're trying to make money. So yeah, Biden, who actually, as I recall, during the presidential campaign, he was still pulling the 1985 line that we need more study on marijuana. Apparently, you know, there's an old saying, there are no atheists facing a midterm wipeout. So apparently he got Jesus on this subject. He said this really sounds like another person. I can't believe this came out of Biden's mouth. The federal government currently, where am I? Currently classifies marijuana as a Schedule 1 substance, the same as heroin and LSD, and more serious than fentanyl, said Biden. It makes no sense. No, it doesn't make any sense. A couple of years ago, he was still touting that line. I guess they sat him down, shot him up, programmed what he had to say, and he was able to retain it long enough to repeat it, because that really doesn't sound like something Joe Biden would say. But finally, hey, welcome. According to CNBC, we've got different reporting on this. CNBC, which I trust more, is putting it in the past tense. They say he pardoned people who were convicted for federal marijuana crimes on simple possession, that's already a done deal. It doesn't apply to states, but he's urging governors as well to follow suit. So they pardoned them within the federal system, also applies to District of Columbia. And as Biden rightly said, I mean, give credit where credit is due. These people can have problems with employment, with housing, because of this conviction, and they're going to have that burden lifted off of them. So, hey, better late than never. I'm glad he's coming around to that. Particularly, you have a lot of people of color who cannot vote because of these nonsense marijuana convictions, who will now have the ability to exercise their right to vote. So, yeah, it's sad that it took him this long, and it seems to me that this is a midterm move, but whatever. I'm glad it's finally happening.
In terms of them being able to vote, that this certainly happened just in the nick of time, right? And, I don't know. I mean, in that sense, it may help Biden going into the midterms, may help sort of reverse some of the momentum that's being swung back to the GOP very subtly but noticeably in these past few weeks.
Yep.
What I know as somebody who lives in a swing district now is that the Republicans' closing argument is crime, crime, crime. They're not even running on inflation anymore, really. I mean, I'm sure in certain districts they might be. In my neck of the woods, it's all crime, crime, crime. Every mailer I get, in fact, I don't even know if I might have one in this office somewhere, about Pat Ryan, is that he wants to defund the police and let criminals out of jail. Now, I know these are obviously non-violent drug offenders. Polling is extremely favorable to Biden and to Democrats on this issue now that they've taken this action. Don't underestimate the Republicans' ability to spin this as he's letting more criminals out of jail. That's the only thing I would caution. I know that sounds ridiculous, but this is a country that reelected George Bush after invading the wrong country. So never underestimate the Republican spin machine and what they can do. I hope it doesn't work. Obviously, I support this action, but that's the one sort of word of caution. Their whole pitch to voters right now is that the criminals are getting out of prison. And then you sign something forgiving federal sentences a month before. It shouldn't work to the Republicans' advantage. I hope it doesn't. I'm not even saying I think it will, but given their emphasis on this one particular issue, it might. That's all I could say there.
I'm going to throw out a fun fact most people probably don't know. We almost got legalized marijuana over 40 years ago under the Carter administration. Carter was about to legalize pot, and this is the 70s. He almost certainly could have gotten that through if a member of his cabinet had not been busted with cocaine. And once that happened, it was just politically he just could not push legalizing marijuana. It was too politically damaging for him to be on the anti-drug war side of things. So he dropped it. If this one guy had not been putting Bolivia up his nose, this would have been taken care of 45 fucking years ago.
All right. Well, we will keep tabs on that, but we thought we should cover that, give that some, pay that some mind as we start the stream here. We're getting a good crowd filing in here. Guy says, "What's up, bitches? What's up, bitch? What's up, Guy? What's up, bitch?" That should be our greeting.
Back at
everybody. You. Back at you, bitch. We should just call it that. I like bitch. That's friendly. It's friendly. It's a friendly greeting, man to man.
Yeah.
Adrian Brody, the actor, was telling a funny story about when he showed up for the first day of work on The Village, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. He was kind of nervous. Shyamalan was a big director there, and he has this,
Mm-hmm.
mystique of seriousness about him because he had made these three, very, very serious horror films and was taken very seriously, and so he was very nervous. First thing Shyamalan says to him is, "Sup, bitch?" when he arrives on the set. Good icebreaker. Sup, bitch? What's up, bitch? That's a good icebreaker. I like that.
And then the second thing he said to him
Guy
was,
says that should be a subtitle of the show. Yeah,
that was
subheading.
the second thing. That should be the subtitle of the show.
Sup, bitches? Yeah.
What's up,
that's good.
bitches?
I
Yeah,
like that. What's up, bitches?
yeah, that'll be good for our future political careers.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if we're carving out a niche for ourselves as the unwoke left, then I think "What's up, bitches" is a good subtitle.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Try that on women so I could watch. Well, no, that's the thing. We can't. According to our YouTube demographics, I think 90% of the audience is male. We have it is a real sausage fest in the Do Dissidents chat and YouTube stream.
Well, we have Love for Pizza, who talks about her, COVID mask fetishes. And
That's
stuff.
true. That's true.
That livens things up. No, he went through a slump, but he's kind of back on the upswing with, he brought, what was the schizophrenic movie? Splinter? What was the?
Oh, it was Split. Yeah.
Split. Right. And that he kind of got back on a roll.
But then the follow-up to that I heard was pretty bad. I didn't see it. The thing about M. Night Shyamalan
it was
is...
all right. It was all right.
Look, what I give him credit for is effort. He gets an A for effort. I would rather watch him fail than 90% of filmmakers succeed, because we talked about on previous streams, movie making is just so formulaic now. These are just pre-packaged products. You know what I mean? And he goes out there and he tries something different. A lot of his movies are like feature-length, like Twilight Zone episodes. Like even The Happening, which is kind of a ridiculous one, where the plants are breathing toxins into the air and killing people. Like,
I mean,
it's not a good movie, but it's not a boring movie.
It wasn't bad.
The thing is, it's not boring. He's trying to do something a little different, and I can stomach him.
You know what he got slammed for that I kind of liked? What was the one that was like she was a mythological creature?
Oh yeah, Lady in the Water. Yeah,
I actually kind of liked it. That's a good example of what you're talking about. That was a very ambitious, not quite success. I wouldn't even call it a failure because I was engaged. I was into it.
I would give that movie maybe a 6 out of 10. It was fine, but it was original. That movie actually started out as a bedtime story that he told his kids, and he decided to make it into a film. That's something original, something that's from a person's mind and heart.
Right.
Like I'd rather watch that than Spider-Man 7. You know what I mean?
Right.
Any day.
Everyone liked No Way Home. I really didn't, because I was just like, yeah, whatever. A funny story about that, because when I was setting up our TikTok now, they asked me my pronouns, and I identify as home appliance gendered. So my pronouns are toaster and blender. And apparently you can't really do that. But then you can submit to them if you have a pronoun that they don't have in their normal list, you can explain it to them, which I guess I could have done.
But then you have to wait on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, Shyamalan has one coming out based on the book The Cabin at the End of the World. I did see the poster for that. That sounds interesting as well. All right, we got a full show that we got to get to here. We welcome everybody, non-binary, pansexual, gender, queer, he, him, she, hers, they, them, they, him, they, her, they, she, they, he, they. Everybody's welcome.
All are welcome. Come into the light.
Exactly.
Come into the light.
It's a big party over here at 3:45 in the afternoon on a Thursday.
Little trivia question. Anybody know what movie that was from? We'll see.
I don't.
Tell us in the chat. Yeah, Keaton is like half an Amish motherfucker. That's why we don't do more pop culture.
Yeah, I used to be much more into. I was much more up on it as a young man.
Yes, California Rules got it. That's not the name of the film, but that's referencing the scene. That was the first Poltergeist.
This one here?
No, that's pretty funny. But no, Carol Ann. That was the name of the little girl who got lost in the TV.
Got it.
That was
it.
Right. That was the little psychic woman beckoning the ghosts to come into the light. All right.
Nicely done,
All
California
are
rules.
welcome. All are welcome. Yeah, nicely done. California rules. I'm impressed.
Alrighty, let's get down to business here. This was a clip that surfaced last night. This is from Piers Morgan's uncensored show over in the UK. This was an exchange. I am actually shocked that they got these two to be on a panel together. They weren't in the same room, obviously, but they appeared in the same segment. I am talking about Stella Morris, who is the wife of Julian Assange, and John Bolton, of all people. And John Bolton sort of bragged about the Assange extradition and expressed his desire for Julian to be sentenced to almost 200 years in prison. And then Stella snapped back pretty epically. I think we should give this a watch.
Committed clear criminal activity. He's no more a journalist than the chair I'm sitting on. The information that he divulged did, in fact, put many people in jeopardy.
Okay, sorry, we're not going to pause it every 5 seconds, but that is just a complete and total lie. In the 16-year history of WikiLeaks, no one has come forward with a single shred of evidence to support that claim, that his leaks endangered troops behind enemy lines. Not a single time. And they hide behind this excuse that, well, we can't disclose it because that further endangers troops. I'm sorry, that's fucking bullshit. Your claim is that the leaks themselves already put people in danger. So your claim is that there's already information out there for the terrorists to find out that is putting our people in harm's way. In 16 years, out of the thousands and thousands and thousands of pages that they have leaked, they may have even leaked over 1 million pages when you add everything up, I don't know. No one has provided not one shred of evidence to substantiate what this lying pig just said.
It undercut the ability of the United States to have confidential diplomatic communications, not just with other foreign governments, but in many countries with dissidents, people who, even speaking to American diplomats, could find themselves in trouble. And so, you know, he's been complaining about his treatment over the past period of time. He's the one who sought asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy. Now he faces extradition to the United States. I presume he will get due process in the United Kingdom to determine whether extradition should go forward. And when he gets to the United States, he'll get due process here. And I hope he gets at least 176 years in jail for what he did.
Stella?
Well, of course, Ambassador Bolton is kind of the ideological nemesis of Julian. He has, during his time for the Bush administration and later the Trump administration, sought to undermine the international legal system, ensure that the U.S. is not under the International Criminal Court's jurisdiction. And if it was, Mr. Bolton might in fact, be prosecuted under the ICC. He was one of the chief cheerleaders of the Iraq War, which Julian then exposed through these leaks. So he has a conflict of interest here.
That's what you call...
Oh,
I fucked it up.
I was like, that's a strange.
There we go.
I was like, that's a strange choice.
I thought I was being so smooth there, and I hit the wrong fucking...
I don't see the connection. I don't see the connection. Yeah, and John.
I was really
Bolton
doing well in that segment too, and then I went and fucked it up.
You were rocking it. And John Bolton, he's just laughing like the smug scumbag he is. And you know what? He's not wrong. That's the laugh of a man who knows he's never going to face justice. Who knows that? You could say whatever you want, sweetheart. The hashtag resistance is so fucking far right that he's a hero to them. John Bolton is a hero to those people.
John Bolton just published an article today in some outlet. I think it's called 1945 Politics or something like that. It might even be his outlet. I just checked his feed just to see if he had any response to that segment. He put out a piece calling for regime change in Russia, saying Putin's time is over. And if you look at the likes who responded favorably, it's all the Ukraine flags, it's all the libs, all the hashtag resistance people, right? This guy in any sane world would be the one pacing back and forth in a solitary confinement cell, punching himself in the face until he's half dead, which is what is happening to Julian Assange right now. In all of our names, by the way. This is the guy who was obviously overseeing a project that murdered brown people by the hundreds of thousands, all the libs who are all about all the Black Lives Matter signs on the lawn, diversity, this, love is love, science is real. Julian Assange's only
in
crime
this house
was
we welcome everyone. Yeah.
Julian Assange's only offense. It is not.
We welcome war criminals in this house.
Right.
I guess that's what they mean. I should go like on Halloween night, and just put on a mask and go start crossing those signs out in a suburb and putting in what they really mean. In this house, we accept war criminals. In this house, we accept Republicans responsible for the death of millions of brown people.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, whatever offense Julian Assange committed, and it was not a crime. He is a publisher. It is not a crime to publish information. That's according to the First Amendment. Okay. Whatever offense he committed against these people was exposing the mass murder, the wholesale slaughter of poor brown people in our name. So all of the libs who are retweeting his article about regime change in Russia now, that is what Julian Assange was responsible for exposing. And John Bolton is as guilty as any. And good on his wife.
You don't feel they can balance that out by going to Wakanda Forever on opening weekend?
Well, I mean, it would take a lot of them. That would have to be a big opening weekend to outweigh that. All right.
I think that's their plan. I think that's what they're going to do.
I mean, that was a pretty epic thing to say to him, which is that if John Bolton were put in front of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, he might be facing some of the consequences that her husband is facing now. And that took a lot of guts to say. You know, I give her so much credit just for keeping her composure. I mean, she is staring down one of the most evil people in the modern history of geopolitics. And that is not an exaggeration by any stretch. Bolton is as bad as it gets. A guy who's literally laughing at her as her husband is being tortured to death for practicing what we here in the U.S. consider people's First Amendment rights. Mm-hmm. And she stayed
not anymore so much.
Well, not anymore so much, but supposedly, until Donald Trump came down the fucking escalator there, this meant something. Good for her. That was. I mean, she was obviously very composed. Her husband, same way. I always thought, he was he always seemed very calm, and now he's obviously what's happening to him is completely sick and inhuman. And by the way, I want to plug this. We're going to clip this for YouTube later this evening. There is a rally outside the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. this Saturday, the 8th, from, I believe it's noon to 3. It might be 1 o'clock. I should have had that fucking written down. I had the guest list written down. I didn't have the time. But anyway, get there at noon and you won't miss it. There is a rally outside of the DOJ to free Julian Assange. They have a great lineup of speakers there. Chris Hedges, Stephen Donziger, John Kiriakou. And the Green Party is showing up there. Jill Stein's going to be there. Friend of the show, Matt Ho, is going to be there. Great dude. He's going to be speaking there. Guess who's not going to be there? Any of the members of the illegitimate party of Democrat filth and scum and garbage.
You mean the squad's not going to be there?
Be there. Cory Bush not going to be there. Bernie Sanders not going to be there.
Can't believe it.
None of the Democrats, none of the progressives showing up for a journalist who's being tortured to death for the crime of being a journalist.
Oh, Virtuoso, we're still good.
He came back. It's outside the Department of Justice, Virtuoso, in Washington, D.C. I don't have an address for you on that, but if you look it up, if you go to Matt Ho for Senate, he tweeted it out. But if you Google the rally, in fact, I'll find the website and I'll post it in the chat now.
Well, this is where, look, you have so many people who hate Jimmy Dore. I know you yourself have your own kind of inside stories about why Jimmy Dore is personally an asshole. And fair enough.
Sure.
Time has proven him right about pretty much everything. It has proven him right that these people were not going to stand with us, that in the end, we were being sheepdogged into the Democratic Party, that the squad was going to end up just bending the knee, that Bernie Sanders was not going to stand up for issues that were really going to threaten his political career or get him real backlash. Look, crazy Bernie can go up there and talk about the billionaire class all he fucking wants, right? If he were to go up there and start talking about Julian Assange, Bernie's going to have a heart attack pretty quick, and he knows it.
All right, so here's the information here. It's 12 to 3 p.m., so noon to 3 this Saturday, October 8th, outside the U.S. DOJ, which is 950 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest in Washington, D.C. They have a great slate of speakers lined up. So if you can make it, if you're in the D.C. area, the Beltway area, see if you can make it there. Now, that does conflict, of course, with the Women's March, which we all know is far, far more important.
Does it conflict with the Women's March?
Yeah.
So it's the same day?
That's like opening against King Kong, as a little foreign language indie. But that is when they're doing it. So if you can make it there. Show up.
Well, maybe if they wear little pussy hats with the First Amendment woven in.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right. That's a good idea. Stick a little quill there, that they use to sign the Declaration, right?
Yeah, confuse them.
I mean, it really is just truly a pathetic thing. And you're right about Dore, And, look, I mean, well, yeah, I think he is personally probably a bit of an asshole. He's said some things that I don't agree with, but that doesn't mean I can't give him credit for certain things. I don't play the whole coddling game or not coddling game, as we're going to get to in a second here. I'll take what people say on face value, where you're right. When you're right, you're right. That's an old New York Jewish saying. That's an old Bronx Jewish phrase.
When you're right, you're right. God damn it.
When you're right, you're right. Exactly. And he's right. He's right. Absolutely right. I mean, it's just insane how little resistance we are hearing from the so-called progressives about this issue and this next issue, which I guess we'll segue into right now. Anything more to say about this before we go to Aaron Maté?
No. Let's go to Aaron. Let's go to friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Aaron Maté. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron the Coddler Maté has struck again. Aaron Maté went on Tucker Carlson. He was coddling Tucker Carlson
in the middle of a road trip
night
with Jackson Hinkle.
Exactly.
Where they're eating Doritos in the front of a Stingray.
Exactly. He called in to the Tucker Carlson Tonight Show to talk about the destruction, shall we say. Can we call it an explosion without getting thrown off the air? What do we say? Without the leak of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which runs from Russia to Germany. Let's hear Aaron Maté.
The American sabotage.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, this is theory.
Sabotage. CIA. CIA cutouts in Europe.
Please, if you're going to do that, wear a mask, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's a digital virus, right? Who said it was a digital? Who said Max Blumenthal?
That it felt like a digital
quality.
That it felt digital, yeah.
If it's digital, that means I could get it from you now because we're communicating digitally. So if you're going to cough like that, put the T-shirt up or something like that, right?
That's yeah. Just call me Max Headroom.
Right, exactly. All right. Let's go to the tape, everybody. Here's Aaron Maté nefariously coddling Tucker Carlson.
Coddling motherfucker.
That Russia did this. They're the same ones who told us that.
Sorry.
It's pretty amazing when you consider the track record of the people who are telling us that Russia did this. They're the same ones who told us that Russia installed Trump in the White House and blackmailed him with a P-tape, who told us that Russia placed bounties on U.S. troops in Afghanistan, that Russia was injuring U.S. diplomats with supersonic microwave weapons, and that Russia invented the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop. And we're supposed to take now their claims on faith. When, by the way, at the same time, for many years, those who've been opposing the pipeline, including many of those now accusing Russia of blowing it up, have been telling us the reason they're opposed to it is because it gives Russia leverage over Europe by controlling its energy supply. So just think of it logically. Why would Russia blow up its only form of leverage? It does not make any sense. Now, the reason why someone else would want to blow this up from the West, and as you noted, John Kirby, when he was asked by Brett Baer, did not answer the question of whether it could have been a U.S. proxy. He only said that the U.S. was not involved, which to me is very revealing. And the reason why the U.S. and its allies have been so opposed to Nord Stream for a long time is because, as was recognized in a 2019 study by the RAND Corporation, which is a U.S. government-funded think tank, the Nord Stream was very profitable for Russia. And also, if it goes through, bringing gas from Russia to Germany and the rest of Europe, that makes Europe and Germany more intertwined, which in turn makes it a lot harder to wage a proxy war and impose sanctions on Russia. And that's why this RAND study said a first step to weakening Russia would be stopping Nord Stream 2. So the motive is there, and as you've noted, the intent was made very clear in public. But somehow we're supposed to not believe all logic and all facts and just believe once again that Russia is behind something that is so drastically against its own interests.
All right. Now, what he said there made pretty good sense to me. He seemed to make his case very forcefully, very strongly. I followed everything that he said. And we also have another bit of evidence that might suggest the United States had something to do with this. Here is President Joe Biden saying a couple weeks before the invasion of Ukraine that if Russia invades, something bad might happen to this very pipeline. Now, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist and connect two dots here, but I'll leave that to you guys. Let's see what you think.
Nice pipeline you got there. Be ashamed if something happened to it.
Exactly.
First question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly?
Listen,
Since the
Toots,
project,
we got our
control
ways.
of the project is within Germany's control.
We will. I promise.
Next, she's going to be asking what happened to JFK. I'm not telling you that.
Right, exactly.
We will.
Here, let's just
Within
hear his
Germany's
response
control.
to this.
We will. I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
I promise you we'll be able to do that with the smile there. The smile that's gonna ignite how many mushroom clouds? What if Russia nukes Ukraine, then we have to nuke Russia, then they have to nuke us. So that's 3 nuclear bombs gonna go off because of that smile right there. The responsible adult who's back in charge after 4 years of Donald Trump. So glad the adults are back in charge. So glad we can trust sound, sensible leadership. Look at that grin. Oh, yeah, no, we have a way to make that pipeline disappear. So all of this, I think, says pretty convincingly that there is very good reason to suspect that the U.S. sabotaged this Nord Stream 2. Sorry, I had my eye on the chat there. But I understand that what Aaron Maté said there, it was hard for a lot of liberals to concentrate on the substance of what he was saying because of who he was saying it to, right?
Tucker.
And if you go online,
who has not had a bad experience with Swanson frozen dinners?
That's true. Tucker is the heir to the Swanson frozen dinner fortune, and so perhaps there's some sort of mind-gut memory there that kicks in.
That frozen chicken, it's like it's so processed, the bone is like bendy. It's like Uri Gelder got a hold of that.
But if you go online, there are scores of comments of people talking not about what Aaron Maté said, but talking about how can you go on the Tucker Carlson show and say it to him. So I decided, since what I thought Aaron Maté had to say was very worth hearing, I decided to edit together a segment that will make it a little bit easier for your liberal friends to be able to absorb what Aaron Maté is saying, because the image of Tucker there is just too distracting. They can't focus on it. They will not take anything Aaron Maté says seriously as long as he's saying it to Tucker Carlson. I got your back, everybody. If you have a lib friend who you feel needs to hear this
They're ready
message,
to download this.
show them this video right here made by yours truly.
Amazing when you consider the track pretty amazing when you consider the track record of the people who are telling us
much
that
better.
Russia did this.
Perfect,
They're the
right?
same ones
Yeah.
who told
Fixed.
us
Now
that
they
Russia
can hear.
installed
It's
Trump
it's
the
like
White
in
House
Hitchhiker's
and
Guide to the
blackmailed him with
Galaxy.
a P-tape,
They have the
who
translator
told us
fish.
that Russia placed bounties.
Right,
Just
exactly.
you put that
US
fish
troops
in their
in
ear and
Afghanistan, that Russia was injuring US
Joe
diplomats
Biden
with
said 2
supersonic
weeks ago we were
microwave
gonna
weapons, and that
essentially that we're
Russia
gonna
invented the
sabotage
concept
this
of
pipeline, and then it got
That's
sabotaged, and then they blamed
approach we
Russia.
take now.
Oh,
That
better. Now
just
look
doesn't
at this.
really make
Beautiful.
sense,
At the
does
same
it?
time, for many years,
Beautiful.
those who've been
Look.
opposing the pipeline, including
Now
many
their
of those
minds are
accusing
clear.
Russia
Now they can
of
pay
blowing it up,
attention. Now they
have been
can
telling us
listen.
the reason they're opposed to it is because it gives Russia
That's it. And,
leverage
and
over
look
Europe by
at
controlling
Joy.
its
She's
energy
really
supply.
She's into
really-
it.
she's
She's
into
it.
it.
She's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you may be
Blow up
onto
its
something.
only
You know,
form of
I get
leverage.
it.
It
I
does
get
not
it.
make any sense.
There you
Pretty
go.
amazing.
So, like I said, share that video with your lib friends. I know we talked over it for the sake of doing our little bit here, but I did post that video up on Twitter as a response to Aaron Maté when he posted that clip, and I'll probably post
the
it on our
only
feed.
reason we have not already been banned from Twitter for misinformation for that little stunt is because Elon's taking over tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. I saw that coming, so I said we can get away with this now because pretty soon Elon Musk is taking over, and that seems to be a pretty good segue into our next segment.
At this point, they're just getting drunk in the big conference room and giving up on any content moderation.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, look.
We're based. We're based. God damn it!
Ryan Wood said, "Jesus, you guys are so based."
I'm based. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible to think. I don't want to pile on the Vanguard boys, but let's be honest. Yeah, we actually do. You know, this is what coddling Tucker Carlson looks like. You're actually going to give him shit for coddling. So many of the people online said, well, why is he saying this to Tucker Carlson? Why are you going on Fox News? Why are you validating Tucker Carlson? Well, I'm sure Aaron would happily accept an invite on the Rachel Maddow show, or if she's not on the air anymore, on the Chris Hayes show.
Of course.
I'm sure he would go on Jake Tapper's show. I'm sure he would go on Chris Hayes' show. I'm sure he would happily go on MSNBC and take this message to them if they would have it. The invite ain't coming. And we all know why the invite ain't coming. So he's got to say it somewhere, you fucking morons. Why not take it to the #1 rated show on television? I mean, this idea that he is not allowed to take his message to a mass audience because you don't like the host of the show, or even you don't like the audience of the show. I'm sorry. Politics is about communicating your message. And it is vital that the message that he is sending is absorbed by as many people as possible, because this is not a joke. Russell did a TikTok video on this. And, you know, I think you were 100% right. We are allowed to say, I'm sorry, YouTube, we are allowed to say we don't want to die in a mushroom cloud. We are allowed to say that. That does not make us Putin stooges or Putin puppets or anything like that. We are people who have the right to live, and we have the right to express our will to live. And you cannot treat a nuclear power this way. These libs are used to interventions in the Middle East. Vladimir Putin is not a good guy. He did not do a good thing. He is a thug. He is a gangster. He is a murderer. Yes, yes, yes. When you have nuclear weapons, that buys, well, yes, so are we. But when you have nuclear weapons, the reason countries pursue nuclear weapons is so that they are taken seriously, so that they are not trampled on in this way. Vladimir Putin is not Saddam Hussein. You're not going to find him buried in a fucking spider hole, drag him out and hang him on TV. He's not Gaddafi. You're not going to parade him through the streets and shove a pipe up his ass or whatever the fuck we did to him. You're not going to do that. This is more serious than that. The guy has a nuclear bomb. Russell lives in New York City. I live 60 miles north of New York City. It is not inconceivable. We can get an alert on our phone at any time saying a missile's headed our way. Head north.
Yep.
This is very, very serious. You don't fuck around with this shit. You don't fuck around with this shit.
At that point,
you don't blow up pipelines in the middle of the Baltic Sea when the
laid.
guy on the I mean, I don't have to keep saying the same thing over and over again, but I think it's very important that people hear this, and so we have to say our piece about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really that and that's what I said in my TikTok video. I really want to know what these people are going to say as they're digging through the ruins of their supermarket for a can of irradiated pasta. Like what are they going to be glad that they virtue signaled their Russiagating? You look at this and it's just amazing how fucking stupid and blind people are. Like, really, these people are marching us up to the brink of nuclear war, and the liberal class that fancies itself the intellectual elites of our society are the ones who are cheering it on. The question is not why is Aaron on Tucker Carlson? The reason is why isn't Aaron on every station? He's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. He's not, writing for the NYU student paper. He's a very serious fucking journalist who's been all around the world reporting on these kinds of issues. So why are you not asking that question? Why will only Tucker Carlson let someone with this point of view on his show?
That's the best question. Why is Tucker the only one willing to have him on the show? Where is your so-called liberal media? Where is your left-wing media?
Right. And that's where it's very confusing, I think, for anyone, any aware, conscious person today to navigate the terms right and left. What do they mean when Tucker Carlson is basically taking the role of the pirate radio station circa 1968 and putting out the anti-war message, and all of the corporate media is lining up behind a disastrous, potentially apocalyptic war over a territory that really doesn't mean anything to us. And this is what their saint Barack Obama said. We're not getting into war over Ukraine because Ukraine's never going to mean as much to us as it does to Russia. That's what your Saint Obama said. So what's different? So what's different now?
What's different now is you don't have a president with a brain. You don't have a human being running the country. You have an algorithm running the nation. You have a team of faceless people who we jokingly referred to as Jake Sullivan because he's an advisor. Jake Sullivan represents about 200 or 300 people who are actually running the country. Okay? And that's what's more dangerous about this now. For everything Barack Obama was, of course, we think he's a fucking piece of shit. He was at least a human being with a human brain who came to the human decision that, as you said, Ukraine will always be more important to Russia than it is to the U.S., and so we are not willing to spill blood over this. You don't have a human being making that decision right now. You have a decrepit, senile figurehead who is being told what to do by people who we have never heard of. And that's the problem. Chat69XYZ, I'm sure your dating site is dynamite, but please don't spam the YouTube chat, all right? Cool.
Hang on, I wanted to get the link.
Well, you could get the link.
You took it down too fast.
I didn't take it down. It just got booted up the queue by our actual non-bot viewers here.
All right, so maybe I can get something going, because if that bomb comes, I'm going to need someone to fuck.
Well, that's why you've been such an asshole lately. It's because you haven't, it's been too long.
Actually, the other night.
Oh, you did? You broke the streak?
Yeah, I broke the streak.
Oh, congratulations. See, that's why you're in such a good mood.
That's why I always say the sun shines on the innocent and the guilty alike.
Well, congratulations. I had you all wrong.
It's a California rules. It very well might have been a bot. It was the most convincing bot that I've ever been with in my bed.
Yeah. Well, my celibacy streak is now, I would assume, for the first time in a while, longer than yours. It's not that long, but it's longer than yours, thankfully.
Well, if you wanted to have sex, you shouldn't have gotten married.
Well, I left that. That was a lob ball right down the middle of the plate for you.
Is she Jewish?
I just threw it. No.
Oh,
no,
so you might have sex again.
Yeah. All right. So, should we get into our final segment of the afternoon? What is our final? Oh, yes, of course. The aforementioned Elon Musk purchase of Twitter. So you did a TikTok video on this today, Russell. So why don't you intro this segment for us?
Okay, so there are two sides to this that are really interesting. So Elon actually came out and said, "Hey, maybe Ukraine should make peace," and suggested what a peace might look like. And the Ukrainian foreign minister, I believe it was, uh, unleashed a profanity-laced rant about how Elon Musk can take his Tesla crap and go fuck himself, and Ukrainians will never buy Tesla. Now remember, Elon is the one who used his satellites to allow them to have communications in the early days of the Russian invasion, which is a big part of why Russia didn't just very quickly blitzkrieg the whole country. Without Elon Musk's help, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now, because this war would have been over. So that doesn't seem to have mattered very much to them. And, Zelensky basically told him to go get his fucking shine box too. Not quite as colorfully as the foreign minister did. Now, I got to say, as an American, I'm feeling like we encouraged them to have this attitude, because why would they feel any differently? We never signaled to them, hey, in the end, we really don't want World War III. And while we understand this is a horror and a tragedy for your country, there are bigger things going on here than just your country, like the end of the world. And you are ultimately not going to get everything you want. So you need to sit down and start thinking about what a peace looks like. We're not giving them that signal, so they feel free to be the biggest assholes they want to be. No, we're getting everything. Okay, look at history. Rather than let Napoleon take Moscow, they burned it down. These are, and I understand these are not the same Russians, but they are heirs to a certain cultural tradition and a certain worldview. If anyone is going to drop a nuke sooner than to be humiliated in the heart of Europe, it's the fucking Russians. So not sitting them down and demanding some kind of peace is suicidal. If you are a living, breathing human on planet Earth and you cheer for that, you are a fucking moron. And not only that, if you're not getting on a plane and going to fight the Russians yourself, you're also a fucking hypocrite. Okay,
Exactly.
They will take you.
Bingo.
They will take you. Go do it.
They are waiving visa requirements for anybody who wants to fight. Look, when you start hearing this nuclear talk, right? Even if you are rah Ukraine, we have to stick it out, we have to win. It's very obvious that right now you need this war to resolve one way or another very quickly before it gets nuclear. So what I advocate for are peace talks, because that is the only realistic way that this is going to end. If you believe in this fairy tale bullshit that MSNBC is feeding you, that Ukraine can actually drive the Russians out completely and win outright, if you think that's possible, then you need to make that happen as quickly as possible before the nuclear button gets pushed, which means get your ass on a fucking plane and stop running your mouth online and get over there and make it happen. Because otherwise...
But something else
you just said, you're a hypocrite and a moron. And once again, we have the right to express our will to live. I want to say that to YouTube, right? We have the right to express our will to live. We want to live. We do not want to die in a nuclear holocaust. We have the right to say that, whether Google says we do or not. All right? Should I put up the points of Elon Musk's peace deal here so we can all see what they are?
Yes.
All right. So this is what he tweeted out, and he opened this up. This is very, very telling, by the way. He opened this up to a poll. He said, Ukraine-Russia peace, right? Redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. The separatist regions are called separatist regions for a reason. Most of the people want to become part of Russia in those regions. They actually just brought it to a referendum very recently. And the separatist side won overwhelmingly in all cases. I believe there were 3 votes. Don't quote me on that, but I think...
I mean, those were not free and fair elections, obviously.
No, but...
How many pro-Ukrainian people are left there?
No, I said there. I said when I put it out that it was a coercive process,
Oh,
obviously,
sure,
but
yeah.
there's a reason they're called separatist regions, right? Because there is a certain momentum there, right?
Right.
You can't really
Yes,
deny that. They
but
wouldn't be
we
called.
can't. But we can't tell if they're a majority from these elections.
All right. Well, that's why he says here.
I mean,
Genius Elon says,
if we're gonna sit here and go off like this, we got to be fair.
all right. Well, that's why he
we
said.
got to be fair and balanced.
I mean, I would still bet if I had to. I would bet quite a bit that the majority in those regions want this over with and want to leave. But anyway, that's why Elon here. See, he has that covered. He says we'll do it under UN supervision. When has the UN ever failed? Russia leaves if that is Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. Bullet point number 2, Crimea formerly part of Russia as it has been since 1783 until Khrushchev's mistake. All right, I honestly don't know enough to opine about that. I don't know what 1783, what he is referring to there. Ukraine remains neutral, water supply to Crimea assured. That seems very, very close to what the Russians put forward at the very beginning of this process. Meet these terms and the war will end. It seems like those terms are going to eventually be agreed to either way. The only question is how many people have to die before that deal is signed. That's the only question.
So
here.
like, what do you think? The Russians just pack their bags and go home with their tails between their legs? They're just not going to do that. They committed. When Putin decided to do this, whatever they're telling you on the MSNBCs and the CNNs, when Putin decided, Putin's not a madman. He knew what he was getting into. He did not do this lightly, and he did not do this without planning on taking it all the way. He rolled the dice, and he's going to play until somebody's wiped off the risk board.
Well, look, one thing that I meant to mention on our last stream, which I didn't, our segment on this a couple weeks ago, was admittedly sloppy on my part. Russell, you were good, but I was not sharp during that segment. That's why I didn't post it after the live stream. Yeah, exactly.
Always before a live stream.
Always before the live stream, exactly. But one thing I meant to say last time, which I think is certainly a relevant point to make now, is that Putin has been, you can tell by what he says in his speeches, and you can tell certainly by the actions that he has taken, both in the run-up to this invasion, the invasion itself, and the aftermath, right, as this war drags on. You can tell that he has been wanting to snap back at the West for NATO expansion for quite some time. Mm-hmm. He has wanted to punch back for a while. The problem from his point of view was that
Goldman Sachs raped the country after the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Well, sure, and this is part of what I'm saying. The issue from his point of view is that he didn't really have the cards until now. The post-COVID global economic landscape is what gave him the cards in his mind to do this. This is not something he thought of on a whim. He saw as NATO was encroaching, as NATO was creeping up to his border, he has been wanting to take this kind of action for a long time. They're not just going to get scared and call it off because we blow up, a pipeline. You know what I mean? Like that, you're kidding yourselves here. You're lying to yourself. Look at a fucking map, moron. It's Russia. It's half the fucking world. Is right. Half the land on Earth is fucking. They're not gonna call it off. They're not gonna call it off. Do you want to die? Are you suicidal? Are you insane? Are you insane? Well, the risk here is not that 19 people get angry, take some box cutters, and kill 3,000 people in New York City. The risk here is half the country gets cooked. That's the risk here. Be fucking sensible for once in your goddamn lives. It's just incredible that we have to spell this out like this.
Well, somebody here said that they appreciated that bend the knee has become part of the popular lexicon. I guess they're a Game of Thrones fan. Something that keeps occurring to me as I see a lot of this conversation. There was another concept in Game of Thrones that didn't get as popularized because I don't think they ever used it in the TV show. Nights of Summer, because winter is coming. The whole idea is they have seasons that last like decades. It's winter for like decades. It's summer for decades, right? So the period that the story covers, there's been a long summer that's ending. And because of that, the nights of that period are weak because they're nights of summer. They don't really understand what war is. They don't really understand what violence is. They don't really understand what the consequences are. That's what I keep thinking of when I see how privileged Americans are talking about this. I say they're the nights of summer. They don't know what it is to really be in a war, to really not be able to get things at the store. Not like during the pandemic. That's like a taste of what you would go through. It's and I'm assuming no nukes, just World War III without nukes. They don't understand what the fuck they're talking about. They don't understand what consequences they're courting. This country has not had a draft since Vietnam. So most people have not experienced war. They don't have people in their families who have experienced war. That's a very distant, remote concept to them. They think it's a fucking Marvel movie. And even what Elon did there, making it a poll, that's not really the way to handle such a serious subject. That's very Silicon Valley. Let's hack World War III. That's how that strikes me. We are too far removed in the West from the real horrors of war. Most of the population, you have war is born on the backs of the poor. People trying to get money for college. These are the people who fight wars, but the average person has no experience of it in far too long, or they wouldn't be talking about not only war, but potentially nuclear war in such a silly way. When you're this far removed from events like the Great Depression, from events like World War II, from events like World War I, people just can't imagine that kind of horror. And it makes everything a fucking game to them, where, they're just going to go back and forth on Twitter with their different political agendas, none of which are going to matter very much if World War III really breaks out. On a related side note, the U.S. military is in crisis because they can't get enough people. There's been a 25% drop in recruitment. They can't get anybody.
No one wants to die anymore.
Nobody wants to die anymore. Look, we finally got a super chat.
Finally, god damn.
From Mick
People
Business.
calling us based. Yeah, we're based. You know what else we are? We're fucking broke. Hit us up on that super chat.
You cheap.
Patreon.com/do dissidents.
God damn it. Give us some money.
Put the super chat up on the screen. I can't do it now because I'm prepping something, but super chat's got to go up on the screen.
Are you going to put up that sex link?
I'm going to put up the segment that we prepped. but I'm waiting for an opening. All right, let's hack World War III line of the day. There we go. Thank you very much, American Wasp.
Woo! Russ won the internet today.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
I got laid and I won the internet this week. I am
having a good week.
I'm batting 1,000 this week.
He's unstoppable. He's on fire.
I am on fire, baby. Yeah, it's nobody really alive today who isn't like 100 understands what real fucking all pervading total war is. They've never experienced it. They don't understand. They think it's fucking Casablanca. They don't get it. They don't get what that's going to be about. And the fact that the military can't recruit. Look, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that maybe we're breeding a population that's not as violent or not as warlike, although I don't really read it that way. But, perhaps 70% of the country is obese. I mean, that was already, they were already talking about that as a crisis for military recruitment. They can't find people who qualify. Even if they want to sign up, they're too overweight. They're too overweight to be in the military. Not only that, I've talked about this on the show in regards to transgender issues. Testosterone levels have been dropping since 1970. And yes, women should be able to join the military and go as far as their abilities will take them. But physically, men are kind of built to do that. It's part of our evolutionary inheritance. When you've got testosterone levels dropping cumulatively generation by generation, yeah, you're going to have less people joining the military, and you're going to have less people who think that way, who are inclined in that direction, and who are suitable for it. So if World War III breaks out, who's going to fight it? You? This is what really gets me with the hashtag resistance libs. They're the last people who would ever sign up for the military. Literally the last fucking people in society who would ever sign up to fight in a war. So
I mean, look, this is all part of Putin feeling like he has the cards to do this right now, right? And I'm not saying Putin is reading testosterone charts, but the point is, even beyond that, I don't think that's
a worldwide phenomenon. They think it's plastics. They think it's plastics affecting the endocrine system.
Look, this country does not have the social, political, or cultural cohesion right now to rally behind a cause like that. It just does not. It just does not. And let's be honest, the people who are going to fight, if there's going to be a fight, are going to be poor people who get suckered into the army for reasons like that. But also, a large percentage of the military are the deplorables, are the MAGA chuds, are the Let's Go Brandon people. Well, you think they're going to go lay it all down for Joe Biden? Where is the super chat link? So there's a super chat link right under where the main chat is, right? Isn't there like a ribbon there that you can put a super chat on there? Yeah, there's a ribbon with a star on it. I'm holding it up right there. See, it's a ribbon with a star on it, and then you can click
and
that
it
ribbon.
it says give us $1,000, and
Right.
so you just put in $1,000 and you get a hat.
Yeah, right under the main
send you a
chat,
hat.
there's a ribbon with a star, and you can give a super sticker or a super chat. And there's no maximum donation amount. Thank you guys very much. All right. Well, that was one Elon Musk story, but we actually have a second Elon Musk story, which is that Elon Musk's Twitter deal is back on. Let me just say that one more time. Elon Musk's Twitter deal is apparently back on. There was some hesitation where he apparently tried to get out of buying it for $44 billion.
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
All right. So this is what happened. So Elon Musk offered way above the stock price. Now, the first reaction from
figured it out. Jack figured it out. £3. £3. What is that? £3 is like $75 now. Is that what that is? Or is it,
no.
Oh, it's a euro.
The
Those
dollar's
are euros.
really strong.
Those are euros. I know. I was joking,
we have
but...
about parity with the euro right now.
Okay. All right.
£3 is about $3.
Yeah.
Which is a real.
That's
problem
what I meant. Euro.
for Europe,
I
but that's another subject.
He said they're fucking happy.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we fucking are. What do you do? He's got fucking twins over here. Come on.
We've been on for an hour. We're still not even close to minimum wage here. We've been on for an hour. We raised $5 fucking dollars.
We're working for $5 fucking dollars. We make more money pressing fucking license plates, you motherfucker.
Right. Exactly.
God damn it.
Russell paid more than that to get laid this week.
I like triple. She was from the bus station. She came cheap. You can meet all kinds at the Port Authority.
Exactly.
So we here in New York, we call Port Authority the port of last resort.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. All right, I fucked up the flow. Go ahead. Elon Musk, Twitter. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Okay. So the board of Twitter, which is basically made up of shit libs with powers of content moderation over America's town square, did not want to sell it to him. And the CEO was making, we're big with the F-bombs. So the CEO was making, noises, to please the Nancy Pelosi's and the establishment Dems. No, we're not going to sell to him. But that's illegal. That's illegal. The board has to make decisions that benefit the stockholders. And if you got some crazy billionaire offering way above what the stock is trading at to buy the stock, you cannot dismiss that offer. You cannot, on ideological grounds, refuse. The stockholders can sue you for that. So they wound up having to accept the offer. Now, here's where it gets a little murky. Elon claimed that once they really researched who the users on Twitter are, that 80% of them are bots. So he claimed it wasn't worth what he offered. So Twitter came back and said, well, no, baby. You're not backing out of this deal. You said 44 billion. We'll sue your ass if you don't pay us. Fuck you, pay me. So now he came around, whether it's to avoid the lawsuit or whether it's because he decided it's going to be a lot of fun to own the libs by buying Twitter. Maybe the libs pissed him off enough. But it's going through, according to what I've read, Friday. According to what I've read, Friday, Elon Musk takes over Twitter. Now, the argument that me and Keaton, we pissed off a lot of people, actually. We got blocked from a lot of Facebook groups. Because, thank you, Frank. Because we blocked a lot of...
Frank is a patron making it rain on the Fauci. Thank you so much, Frank. And Virtuoso asked for a Patreon link, which I gave to him again. And he said, thanks, Keaton. So maybe Virtuoso will sign up. Who knew what a great marketing strategy it is to tell one of your most loyal viewers to wipe their ass with their fucking subscription? That's what Russell did to Virtuoso last week. And turns out paid off. Wow, this is a revolutionary idea in building.
Well, I read Warren Buffett's book. That's where I got that from.
I said,
his book about business management and investing. He says, insult people at every turn.
Supporters, right?
Yeah,
most loyal supporters.
Anyone who's particularly faithful, kick them like a dog. Treat them. This is the secret of good management.
Right, exactly.
Particularly the ones that have difficult relationships with their parents.
Exactly. Well, Russell,
they'll keep coming back for that approval.
You see what a great mood Russell is in this afternoon. It's so great. I want to thank whatever woman let you into her bed this week, because you are much more pleasant today than you were the last couple shows.
Is that true?
It is true. Am I wrong? I want the audience to chime in. I think I'm right about that. I'm getting a much sunnier vibe from you, and I think that has something to do with it.
I think I'm the same.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
I'm
just
the same.
Like the Nord Stream didn't just blow up out of nowhere. I don't think you're being nice out of nowhere.
No, I'm the same nasty bastard I always am, I think. But who knows? You can't smell your own shit.
Right.
So
look, you're right. We did get in a lot of trouble when we spoke favorably of Elon Musk making his purchase.
And that wasn't my point. The argument that people were making was, why do you believe that he's going to really do it, make it a free speech platform? What are you, stupid? And our response to that was, well, hey, if he's not as good as his word, no one's going to go after him like we will. We'll be just as vicious on him as we are on anybody else. But right now, that remains to be seen. We have to go on the premise that he's presenting, that he's going to govern it based on the First Amendment. And his tweets leaked. And one of the most important and revealing things that were in those tweets were his plans for Twitter, which are exactly what he promised, even more than he promised in a lot of respects.
Well, this is also very important to say, because we've gotten a lot of viewers since we made that first video, and I don't want to lose all of them. Now, we have to qualify this by saying, look, Russell and I do not like Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk is an amoral person.
He's a douchebag.
He's a sociopath. He speaks very freely about, plundering other countries' resources and how he doesn't want to pay taxes, right? He's a piece of shit. What we're saying is, look, we would love to see social media companies either regulated as public utilities or broken up. Those are the two best options. As long as those options are not on the table, it means that a billionaire oligarch is going to run these social media companies. And so then what you have to ask yourself is, that being the case, would we rather Elon Musk run it, who promises to run it according to First Amendment standards, or would we rather it be run by the people who are running it now? Where not only is there suppression of free speech, but there's no clarity to the rules. That's a hugely important part of it. Part of the reasons why we have to be a little careful about what we say, which, believe it or not, we are. It doesn't sound like we are, but we are. Part of the reasons we have to be careful about what we say is because we don't know where that line is. We
Right.
don't know.
Yep.
They can
Yep.
issue a community guideline strike. They don't have to specify exactly what you said and how it broke a rule. That is what the liberal establishment wants. They want it vague like that. Because if they have to actually outline, if they actually have to pinpoint where that line is, it forces them to show their hand and admit that, we don't want you saying X, Y, and Z specifically. And then the jig is up because then
you can ask
everyone
why.
knows. Right, exactly. As long as it's vague, they don't actually have to own what their actual goal is, which is to suppress discourse online. And so
Dissent.
transparency is very
suppress
important.
dissent, all
Right,
dissenting
suppress
voices.
dissent. Right.
And this
But
is
even discourse, because even something that is not dissent directly, if I have to worry that it might be perceived by some AI bot the wrong way, then I can't say it. Part of the reason we have not been fucked with, I told Russ this offline the other day, I'm an Uber driver. I was an Uber driver for 5 years. I understand that these tech companies are not run on a day-to-day basis by human beings. It's automated. It's bot shit. You trip a sensor by saying a few words too close to each other, that triggers an AI sensor. They can suspend the channel. They can put a strike on the channel. Now, you will have the right to appeal, sure. And this not only YouTube, but this is Facebook, Twitter, all this shit. The actual people who may or may not get to review what you say was a wrong choice, they're not inclined to reverse whatever decision their bots make because that renders their bots illegitimate, right? They are inclined to maintain this illusion that they are running a legitimate operation. And what Musk is saying he wants to do is, first of all, he wants to run this according to
revealing
First
the inner
Amendment.
workings of the Vatican.
Exactly. Right. That's a great point.
Once you start revealing that, the Pope's not infallible anymore.
Exactly. Precisely. And so they have it set up right now exactly the way they want it. And Musk coming in, even if he doesn't run it according to the First Amendment, even if he backstabs on that, if he at least makes it clear, look, if there are rules to follow and we know exactly what the rules are, we can choose to follow them or we can go somewhere else. Now, I don't like that deal. I think the internet is the new public square. This should be a First Amendment zone. But okay, if you are clear about what the rules are, we could choose to either follow them or go elsewhere. Fine. At least you're letting us know the deal.
Right.
Things being what they are now, people don't know the deal. And that causes them not only to get disappeared if they accidentally step over the line, but it causes them to really censor themselves because they don't know where the line is and they want to be careful not to cross it. And that's bullshit. And so it has nothing to do with how we feel about Elon Musk, just like it has nothing to do with how we feel about Tucker Carlson.
Elon Musk is a fucking asshole. He called a guy trying to save... Oh, again with the fucking dating site. He called a guy trying to save children from a cave a pedo because he insulted his little submarine. He's a piece of shit. He's an asshole. That's not what it's about. It's the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And just like Tucker Carlson is the only person who's willing to platform left-wing speakers today, Elon Musk seems to be the only one of his class who's willing to put his money where his mouth is to defend the First Amendment and free speech. So we, as leftists, are forced to support somebody who we otherwise do not like, at least in this regard, because when his tweets leaked, he's as good as his word. He's going to make content moderation. And this was not for public consumption. These are his internal conversations.
Right.
He's going to make content moderation open source so that what Keaton's talking about will no longer be the case. You'll know exactly why Twitter pushes a tweet, deletes a tweet, why it might suppress a speaker, why you might be taken off Twitter. That's all going to be visible. That's all going to be clear. And you're only going to get kicked off the platform for breaking rules that are First Amendment rules that every reasonable person agrees with. Threats of violence, inciting a riot. Essentially, you can't scream fire in a crowded theater. And that's it. And that's fine. Now, the liberals...
Right, you should not be allowed to threaten people or dox
of
people
course
or harass
not.
people.
Of course
Nobody's
not.
arguing for that.
That's
a straw man. Right.
Of course not. That's it. No, this is the real straw man. And in my TikTok video about this, I mentioned this. This is the real strong man. The libs are arguing that these rules do not apply in the world of the internet, or that we need to update our concept because the internet is so uniquely corrupting, it's so uniquely dangerous. To which I respond, in 1970 and 1971, there were over 2,000 domestic bombings, mostly committed by leftist guerrilla groups trying to overthrow the US government and protesting the Vietnam War and civil rights. These are in the days when, what were they working with? A fucking hand-cranked mimeograph machine? And we don't have anything like that happening today. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
So if this is so much more dangerous, why is there so much less political violence than there was at a time when the internet was not even a twinkle in anybody's eye?
Well, because as
that's
we know,
the straw man.
Right. Well, absolutely. And as we know, the goal is not to suppress violence. The idea in the post-Trump world is that information cannot be disseminated freely, because if the wrong people get the wrong idea, they elect the wrong guy president.
Yes.
And that is what this is all about. Misinformation. We covered John Bolton at the top of this show here. The misinformation that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, you know, the horrors that unleashed and continues to unleash on this world. Nobody cracked down on misinformation back then, because the system allows for George Bush, just like the system allows for Obama, just like the system allows for Biden. The system could not allow for Donald Trump. Could not allow for Donald Trump. And so the idea is that we have to control the dissemination of information, because if too many people get the wrong idea, something like the election of 2016 could happen. I just want to go to Glenn Greenwald for a second. We have a few tweets that we want to show up. This crystallizes what we're going to say, and then we will wrap in just a few moments. Ben Collins from NBC says, if Musk is really taking this site private, there are no real guardrails anymore. Rulemaking can be capricious. He can elevate any idea or person he wants through recommendations and UX choices, and there will be no oversight on this as a private company. Parker Malloy, who I don't know who that is.
But all of them were all of a sudden, all the shit libs became libertarians when they wanted to defend Twitter being able to censor people on the basis that it's a private company.
Right.
I thought that was a good thing.
They're a
I thought that was a
corporation.
good thing.
They
They're
can
a
do what they
private
want.
company.
They're a private
Right.
company.
Wasn't that what you were saying when they were doing your bidding?
So Parker says he can elevate any idea or person he wants through recommendations and UX choices is one of the more underappreciated ways that Musk can and will use Twitter for propaganda purposes. Enter Glenn Greenwald, obviously always owns these people like they should be.
What's up, bitches?
Sup, bitches, right. Do liberals really not understand that this elevating any idea or person they want through recommendations and UX choices is what big tech is already doing? Bingo. Liberals are just happy about it now because it's now done to advance their interests and silence their adversaries. Yes. 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 Of course. Spells it out about as well as he can. All right, we got a couple chats to get to before we wrap. One of them is a super chat from American Wasp. Really, I mean, we talk about Fauci making it rain. American Wasp was making it rain this week. He signed up at Substack, and he's got a couple super chats going. So thank you, my man. Much appreciated.
Just to IM me about the private Fauci that I'm going to give you.
Yeah, right, exactly. The Fauci dance that Russell owes you a Fauci dance. Make sure you cash in on that.
Yeah.
Why isn't antitrust rhetoric a bigger part of left-wing political discourse? Seems like a pretty obvious political marketing play. Big change, right? Yeah, I mean, you would think it would be, but, unfortunately, oxygen gets sucked up in other ways. I mean, that you talk about MAGA being a culture war movement, so is most of the left right now. Antitrust is dollars and cents. Antitrust is material, which means it's boring, right?
Yep.
Because it's not as emotional. It's not sexy. And so many things that the left believes are uniquely right-wing pathologies are theirs also. And so I think that's a big part of it. Honestly, I think if these were regulated as public utilities, that would be better. I think there is a lot of value to having only a small handful of networks because that allows for a mass audience like YouTube. The reason we found all you guys here and have an audience now is because there aren't 75 different networks where people are posting videos. So I kind of like everything being in the same place, right? It builds a sort of global network, which I think is a good thing.
I mean,
But
they're kind of
regulated as
are
public
75,
utilities.
but I'm too old and you're too Amish to know what they are.
Well, but that's the point. The point is this is where the action is at. And that
Sure.
makes it possible to build an audience without joining up on 75 different video networks, right? Facebook, same thing. Twitter, same thing. Reddit, same thing. So I actually like the idea that everything is in one place, but they just need to be regulated as public utilities. Verizon cannot turn off your phone service because they don't like what you say to your friend on the phone, right? That's a public utility.
Right.
The internet, social media should be regulated the same way.
Not
That's my
yet.
opinion.
Not yet.
Well, yeah, not yet. All right. Captain Obvious says the problem with one of your last statements, though, Keaton, is Musk deleted that tweet about we will coup who we want to. He will self-censor, so he's not as much a hardcore free speecher as you claim. I don't think he's a hardcore free speecher. I don't think.
Oh, come on, man. Who among us has not put up something and then thought better of it? So I don't know that makes a state. Whether he's hardcore free speech or not, I don't know that that's reflective of anything about anything.
Right, he could have just regretted saying that because it made him look like a total fucking scumbag, which he is. And so maybe he did that to save face. But look, the point that he self-censors and can therefore not be trusted to uphold free speech, I mean, I don't know if that
I don't
really
see the
computes.
connection there.
I don't see that computes either. I mean, we all follow rules that we don't think we ought to have to follow, and that if we were empowered to change, we probably would, right? And so the fact
Believe
that
me,
he
I have
self-censors,
put up things that either I put up and said, man, I don't need to fucking troll people like that. Or I've put up things where I'm like, I don't know if that's what I really believe. Like that's what, and you'll never find somebody who's a stronger advocate of freedom of speech than I am, who's more of an absolutist right up to the line of harassment and violence.
Right. I mean, sometimes you say something that you legitimately regret saying, or you figure, okay, this isn't worth the
it's not,
grief
that's
it's
another
cause.
Don't it's not worth the grief.
And
I don't want to be on. I cannot tell you how many things I delete because once I really look at it, I say, I just don't want to talk about this for the next 3 days.
I'll give you a perfect example. So Joe Biden is in my neck of the woods. He's visiting the IBM. They have a big IBM.
They still have it up there?
Zone. Yeah. It's up here in the Hudson Valley. It's in Fishkill. It's a big IBM corporate office, corporate headquarters. Biden was in my area this afternoon. We were taking the boys to swim lessons at the gym. On our way to the gym, we have to turn around. They have all these roads closed off. All the roads. I mean, they closed the highway. They closed the side roads because he was landing at the airport, which is pretty close to the gym. So they closed everything down. We were late for the lesson. We almost missed it entirely. Thankfully, they were cool. They let us hang out in the pool after it was supposed to be over. I go on Facebook and I say, hey, heads up, Hudson Valley residents. Our decrepit warmongering piece of shit president is in town pretending he cares about the IBM workers and all the roads are closed, so plan accordingly. And I thought after I tweeted that out in anger, and I didn't tweet it out. I put it on my personal Facebook page. I posted it in anger, and I thought, this is really not worth the grief from the in-laws. Like, forget it. I'll take it. You know what I mean? So, like, did I self-censor? Sure. But, like, you can make those decisions. It doesn't necessarily mean you're against free speech as a value set. But Captain Obvious, once again, I want to make this very, very clear for probably the 5th or 6th time now. We are not stands for Elon Musk here. We're not coddling Elon.
He is unbased.
Right. Elon is unbased, yo. The issue is, as long as one of these oligarchs is going to own a major social media company, look, let me put it to everybody this way. Would you rather Elon Musk buy that company, or would you rather Bill Gates buy that company? Right?
Exactly.
We're all on the same page there, and that's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. Things being as they are,
and the
some
current
rich
the
asshole
current
is going to own Twitter. Right.
And the current CEO of Twitter makes Jack Dorsey look like Frank Zappa.
Right, exactly. So that's all we're saying. All right, well, this was a fun show. We got another super chat right in before the buzzer. Thank you, Sakamoto Dragon. The Biden administration thanked GM and Chevy for all they do fighting climate change and didn't even invite Tesla to the seminar. He's doing something right. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that.
I really don't agree with that. I mean, if it is a climate change seminar, how do you not invite Tesla? Listen, and again, this is not financial advice. I believe that Ford is going to wind up dominating the American EV market. That's my opinion. Plan accordingly, but that's not advice. But look, the reason Ford is doing this, the reason GM is doing this is because Tesla proved it could be possible. It could be profitable. So now all of the traditional legacy automakers are piling in on none more than Ford. Ford is going all in on EV. They're building 2 battery factories. So how do you not invite Tesla? I have been saying this for 10 years, that once the legacy car makers go all in on EV, they're going to bury Tesla because they have a century of experience of manufacturing at scale and keeping the prices down and making it affordable. So it's not about that, but no one can argue that Tesla was not the pioneer in this space. So how do you not invite them if that's what the subject of the conference is?
All right, I'm just writing this down. Since I agree with Sick Komodo and you don't, I'm keeping that $4.99 for myself. I'm not sharing that with you. I'm writing this on the balance sheet just so we know. All right, cool. All right, everybody. Well, I think that is our. Oh, we got another one from Sick Komodo Dragon. Agreed. He's a douche, but screw Chevy. LOL. All right, there we go. All right, cool. Wonderful. All right, well, everybody, this was a really fun chat. You guys came through with the super chats. Thank you. You did all right. You ended up doing all right.
You ended up doing the right thing. You did the right thing. You kept your mouth shut
in the end,
and you gave us a cut.
Exactly. You gave us what you owed us. Gave us. Yeah. You did right.
You did right. You kicked up to the boss.
Exactly. Kicked up to the boss, as they say. Well, guys, this was a really fun stream. Thank you very much for watching. I think we covered basically everything we had to cover, right?
Yeah, we got to it.
All right. Well, thank you for those super chats. Patreon.com/do dissidents to help support this program. I'm going to check my phone, Virtuoso, see if you signed up yet. Let's see. Did he sign up yet or did he not? I'm going to refresh the image. Oh, beautiful. Okay, well, we did. All right, we got.
Dox him.
He did. I think he did.
Oh, my God. Vice President Harris.
I don't want to say your email out loud, but it seems as though you did. So thank you very much. And David Ruiz just upped his pledge to $5 because David Ruiz was he was grandfathered in at the former pre-inflation rate of $3 a month, but we raised our prices just like everybody. So thank you, David, and thank you. I guess your first name is Jared. If that's you, then thank you, brother.
They all want a private Fauci.
Appreciate it. Yeah, they all want a private Fauci. That's what's getting them in there. That's what's putting the asses in the seats. All right, we want to thank Chat69XYZ for sponsoring the show this afternoon. Please check them out if you are feeling up to it. And thank you guys all very much for watching. This will be up on the podcast feed probably later in the week, so thanks to our podcast listeners for listening. We will see you all next time. Thanks very much. Be safe. Be well.
Please clap.